Gabriel, we're here again. Episode 10. So that's 10 days, 10 in a row. We're on it. People, we're doing it. Timestamps on the videos. You can hold us to it. Transparency, right? We have it all there. We're getting a lot of views. So I think you guys should stop hitting the videos so much. YouTube has server costs too. But hey, no, we appreciate you. So right before we were talking a little bit about like how do you get engaged in a new community, right? It's a type of networking, but it's very 21st century. It's not like it was back in the day. You would go to meetings or something, that they might be having a community event of some sort, a good old fashioned networking cocktail party or something. But, that's not how it's done, right? Like, especially in Web3 or in technology, you don't just kind of go out to some corporate event or some setup event. You have to get to know these folks where they are, right?
I mean, yeah, I'm starting to get involved with a new community, and part of the reason is they keep coming up on my radar. To be quite frank, part of the Web3 community, and part of it is keeping your eyes and ears open and seeing what's happening, who's growing, and getting competitive intelligence and whatever the reasons. And then we're submitting a couple of grant applications for different projects as part of what this group are doing. And at first you think, oh, maybe there's a financial opportunity here, and let me throw in my proposal and see if it gets traction, and maybe we get some funding for one project or another. um, and as I start to go down the rabbit hole, I start to realize there's so much more opportunity there for literally for networking. So I think the principle, as you introduced, like networking for the 21st century, is that what century we're in? The 21st?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
We
That's what I'm
think so.
going with.
All right. Because it used to be, I remember when I was like barely a teenager looking at business and reading books on paper, and they described attending your local, I can't remember what they're called, business networking, whatever, circulars, executive briefings and
Hmm.
things. And I started going to some of them, and I'm sitting there with these folks who like old guys and fat guys and newbie guys, and like trying to catch some conversation, meet and greet, exchange business cards. I didn't have one at 17 years old. I took theirs and thought, oh, maybe I'll give you a call sometime if I need, like, if I need this, I don't know, whatever the service was. And it was,
Retirement planning.
yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'm 18.
Like
I just need a job.
life insurance or
Right.
something. And it was just random. And it's okay. So this is networking, right? This is networking for, well, now I realize that's networking for the 20th century, whatever century we're in, that was for the previous century. Now it's online. Um, and it used to be we go and type on bulletin board forums or
Hmm.
use or ICQ or AOL America
My forum
Online.
game was hot. I'm a good forums guy. Ooh,
So
get in
and
there, make a real nice post.
that's it. And then things evolved, and then we got Zoom. And Zoom is, I think, one of the transformative technologies of the 21st century. All it is
Absolutely.
video, but it's a video call, and everyone uses it. All right, yeah. There's Skype. Skype was, let's say, it was before Zoom, but Zoom does everything better for video. And now communities for events, DAOs, if you're interested in decentralized autonomous organizations, or you're interested in Web3 communities, or you're interested in whatever you're interested in, meetup groups, meetup.com became massively popular. And before COVID, the meetup groups were in person. And then since COVID, Meetup became an online community facilitator because no one was leaving their house. And that culture is just here because we work from remote. I worked in the middle of the Yucatan jungle most of the time. And so to meet and mingle on networking is face to face through video.
Yep.
and we got to get used to it, but we got to get better at it. And it's not just a case of transactional. I'll tell you the story that I had this morning, right? So the application for one of these grants that we're working on, it was in the wrong category. And that was probably my fault because I'm the person who submitted the application. And I just didn't see where it had a selection for which category. And then I couldn't edit the category. So there was a bit of a problem with the platform. And the guy recognized that and he says, you know what, let's jump on a call. What I'll do is open the category space on the other thing so that you can copy paste and we can do it in real time. And then I'll shut down because we don't want to accept any new applications. And we like you. And then it turned into a nice 20-minute conversation, right?
Yep.
20 minutes with this guy. It was just an operational transactional thing where I felt like I'm wasting his time because I'm somehow made a blunder and I missed something. But it was a really nice, pleasant, friendly exchange of ideas, conversation,
Yep.
and that's good networking. Yesterday, for the same community, I attended one of their bi-weekly town hall calls, and they start off with 60 people on a Zoom call, and then they have breakout rooms for different topics. And I joined one. Look at these notes that I got. Augmented bonding curves, like a vending machine, two directional, deposit to burn tokens and give money for micropayments to defend against price fluctuations. Now, the notes make sense for me almost because I took them and I was in that conversation.
Mhm.
But that's like a completely new concept for me to get my head around in terms of one of the projects that we're working on. And I got that information because I shared a little bit about the idea, and this super wizard genius expert on this in this network, he was good enough to explain to me a potential opportunity that might be useful for me. That's so valuable and it's free and it's building relationships. So networking for today's entrepreneur is so important. Find events happening. It's not a waste of time. You
Uh-huh.
don't have to have your nose to the grindstone the whole time. Talk to people, be open, join those events.
Well, yeah, and a couple of things come up. One, it's a break, right? It gives you a break in your day. And if you're someone who's needs to be hyper productive or feels you need to be, you are still being very productive. The thing that no one wants to tell you when you're a kid is that it's all relationships, because it is. Life is not fair, but life is about one particular thing, and that's who do you know? That doesn't mean you don't get breaks occasionally, but that's those are the exceptions. At the end of the day, if you have a diverse network of professional people who are even moderately successful, you have a huge edge from the people that you can connect with for like you're talking about for that sort of like free tidbit of advice to I need somebody to help me with a project that I'm going to pull together, whatever. That network invaluable. The other element that really is a is a is a something that levels the playing field for the introvert extrovert thing, right? Because those in-person events are brutal if you're an introvert. They are brutal. They're practically torture. I call myself a fake extrovert. I'm an introvert who learned how to act like an extrovert and around people by just making my personality bigger and knowing that you have to. I had this observation as a teenager, just like you're not going to get anywhere being a shrinking violet. Like it's unfortunately the world just kind of is run by loud people typically, or they're certainly the ones who get heard the most. And so you need to be able to speak up and participate, but an in-person event like that for say an hour and a half of really truly new people, I mean, I need to sleep like afterwards. I am absolutely physically exhausted. But to be able to engage online, especially even in like Telegram channels and Reddit forums, message board, whatever community forums people might have, it's great. Like what a great opportunity for that introverted person who really struggles with in-person greeting and events. I mean, it's big, so you can't miss out on that. And then this other element of access to experts, right? Like you're saying, you're going in there, and I know this program's this community is an AI program. Give them a shout out. Singularity, .ai. They're great. Check them out. Good project. It's actually sort of a layer 2 built on top of the Cardano blockchain and the Ethereum blockchains. A lot of AI tools, but you're suddenly in front of somebody who has this bleeding edge knowledge. And if one thing we learned from the internet that's a beautiful thing, and I don't think gets enough mention and credit, is people in general want to help you. They want to share their expertise at least, right? Whether it's from an ego perspective or otherwise, there's never been a time in history where you could just go online and find somebody with a master's degree who probably has a $200,000 a year salary or runs a $10 million company, and will just talk to you and will answer your question. Like, you would have paid thousands of dollars if you even had access to people like this in your life before, right? That's all there. Coders. I mean, they'll just tell you, they'll teach you to code for free. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, one of the things I find is that when people tell me that and then technology, I mean, we're Gen X, right? So, we'll out ourselves. We're not 20, we're not 60. Uh, we're somewhere in between. Um, our generation's the last, I think, relatively technophobic generation, where there's still a good vein of technophobia in there. And I just tell people, like, come on, there's just no excuse. Why? You have so much help. You have so many people who are willing to reach out and teach you and help you through it. Like, there's no excuse for it. But for the younger generations, if you're not capitalizing on this just sea of experts that are available to you with so little effort, I don't care, as an entrepreneur, as a career person, as an independent artist, whatever, you're missing out.
Totes, totes, totes. Just thinking the opportunity. You're so right. Like that guy that gave me this. If I had to go on his website and say I had this question that I've had for a project, and I'd go to Google and search, I need expert advice on this particular thing, augmented bonding curves, right, for Web3 tokenomic thing. And I find it's going to be like charge me $250 an hour or more, whatever. And I go, okay, all right, 200, get the credit card out, pay for that. Um, and I have a conversation. It's transactional, it's financial based. He's only going to spend time on there because he's earning money, and I want to get off the phone and get my answer and get out of there. So I'm not charged another second hour and make sure
Mhm.
I squeeze in for every bit of value I can possibly get out of it. Um, and that's where it ends. If as a free member of this community, they have a call every couple of weeks. I've started to build a relationship. I can go back and I can shoot him a message in between the calls and say, "Hey, you told me this thing." He's going to give me some more help. It's not
Yeah.
costing me, um, and and it's opportunity. It goes both ways as well. I realized this today. I was on another call. Today. I had a 2 hour window. I think I was on like 5 different calls. It's it's a bit much. But one of them, I realized it went the other way with the reciprocity, right? Because I've been on a call with someone a few times, then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I know something that might help this guy. So then
Mhm.
I can offer that as a suggestion, and he's getting potential opportunity and value from me. And it's just an authentic, organic thing. And you said something that I can't remember how you put it, but like school kids should be taught networking or something. So true. I messed up on that one myself big time when I was younger. I did. I tried these events like with like I said before, these business mixers and different conferences, and but there were massive gaps where I have not done a good job of networking. So if you're whatever stage you're in, just think whatever you're doing for networking, you're probably not doing enough because it
No.
pays dividends now, soon, later, in the future, forever.
I mean, it's arguably the best investment you can possibly make with your time, truly. Because think about that interaction. What I was thinking is, as you're mentioning, is that, yeah, if you go, um, consultant client with someone, yeah, you paid them $250 for an hour, right? And someone might say, well, I mean, he gave you free advice before, like, seems to me a lot better for him to get you to do the $250 an hour route. And the answer is no, it wasn't, because he connected with a business professional who I'm sure probably doesn't have those chops, right? And like you said, a relationship's developed now where you can both get back and forth and just more authentic advice. Because it's so weird. As you were thinking that, I was going like, we do act different when we're like consulting in a very formal way. Like it almost forces you to, the expectations change, right? And suddenly I got to be like, okay, Gabriel, Mr. Shaw. So, and we don't have just a let me open my mind and share it with you conversation. We have a very transactional conversation. And like you said, you're on your side trying to like squeeze that lemon. And I'm over here like nervous a little bit and trying to make sure I'm doing a great job, but also not get the lemon squeezed. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. I mean, it almost makes me feel like I don't ever want to charge anybody for consulting ever again. I'd want to just say, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to help you. And someday I'm gonna come and call and you're gonna do me a favor, right? But like really, like I don't think I don't know, rather like build products, and get customers. It just feels more clean, that I can provide a service or a product for somebody, and I'd rather have that relationship. I really would.
Yeah, imagine with the thinking a little bit out of the box here, maybe, but imagine with all of the smart contracts and AI and digital identifiers and smart assistant robots that we're all going to have, we can just pay homage and pay it forward and pay gratitude and link them up. Like if this augmented bonding curve becomes useful, practical, and profitable, like, I just need the guy's wallet address,
Yep.
and I can, s hook him
Totally.
up for a micro payment
Yep.
as a reward for helping me out, and he's gonna profit financially. I just imagine, like, that becomes a nature of it's, like, not meant to be transactional, but we can gift, and it
Right.
becomes direct and relevant and not like micro opportunities that will somehow pay back because we're part of an interconnected ecosystem. And that's what I love about these Web3 communities that like we're in a bunch of them. Um, and that's what we're looking for, I think. That's what we're all looking for. I just want to hang out, be ourselves, think about interesting stuff, shoot the shit, talk about whatever, make friends, and make a living being creative and collaborative. It's like, how do we facilitate that? I think Haifa. So the website you gave, I looked it up to just to be sure. It's actually singularitynet
Singularity
dot
net. That's right. Right. Good
dot
call.
dot io.
Okay. Good.
Singularitynet.io. So they're a marketplace for AI applications. You can go on there, find apps if they're useful in terms of AI functionality, and it's a marketplace that is kind of just coming to bloom from now. They're doing great things, getting better organized. And then we work also with Hypha DAO, Hypha.earth. And this is a platform to build decentralized autonomous organizations. And that's an experiment and a whirlwind all in itself. And if you're interested in how do we share decision making power and how do we make better agreements and how do we try work to figure out how do we make better agreements, Hypha.earth is a fantastic platform, just launching the beta version imminently. Um, so what am I saying? There's just so much opportunity for networking and micro collaborations and big collaborations, and just put yourself into those conversations and see where it goes.
Yeah, what comes to mind is that is definitely something I almost take for granted now, but Web3 communities on average do have a different set of core values. We don't always live up to them. I'm not going to bullshit anybody that it's some sort of utopian dream. It isn't. There's still competition and cutthroat behavior from time to time. But in general, there is this sort of open source, um, you know, build together if things go really really well, throw somebody some tokens. Like we have these easy ways to do this, right? Like in a traditional company, don't just throw somebody some stock to their E-Trade account, right? Like it doesn't work. You could, I know it's feasible, but it's not practical, right? But I can just throw somebody 1,000 tokens in a second, Go, thank you, man. That was beautiful. Look, we're doing okay. Hold the tokens, do what you want with them, but thank you. Right. And I can include you easily. And I've said like the purpose of tokens that I've seen so far fundamentally is it's just a super easy way to align stakeholders, right? Financially, right? It's very easy because you can share them, you can move them around, and it can get everybody involved really, really easily with not a lot of friction. But I'm working on another project in the sort of AI NFT metaverse space. I mean, I don't know. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Um, and really, we're all talking like, okay, no IP. It's like just out of the gate. It's like, just don't, we're not going to bother with that. What we're going to do is build and collaborate, build and collaborate, build and collaborate. So it's that principle of saying, I could go and I could try to draw a line here and say, I'm going to own 30%. If you help me, I'll give you five. And now we're in that transactional, that person going, well, I only want to do a 20th of the work, right? Or whatever. Or we can say, well, wait a minute. What we're going to do is work together. And what we want people to do is kind of like log their time and throw it into the DAO as like a receipt. So look, I put 3 hours in last week on this. And it'll add up. And then when we get any income in that's not going to be used for expenses, there'll be a smart contract distribution. Just up, boof, 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 right? We don't have to incorporate because we're all really just independent contractors coming together. We don't own anything because that's not the point. The point's to just build this, AI kind of avatar thing, and people will use it and they'll be paying for it with crypto through a smart contract and it'll all just automate really. So, and I first, again, there's this part of me that the other side of the world that I came up on, that I cut my teeth on going, am I going to get ripped off here? Like, and I went, no, dude, stop. First of all, I want to do this anyway. There's technology elements in it that I'm working on that I want to learn more about. Basically adding memory to AI. 'Cause I think that's super interesting. I'm doing some prompt engineering, but yeah, so what? I got graphics people helping. I got someone who's come up with an AI where they're going to be able to like scan the blockchain and pull that in from like, man, I want to let's go for a ride, right? Like you're saying, like, let's go for a ride and see if we can solve something important together. And it just, I know it hasn't materialized yet in a super tangible way, but I actually do think it's finally coming. And I don't say that lightly, but I do think DAOs are going to slowly start to proliferate, and maybe it won't be like a big manic, frenzied FOMO wave, but I do think they're going to slowly but surely become far more popular and ubiquitous in society. And I think Web3 gaming is looking really strong too. But again, it's this collaboration. I think it's when people get to know it and feel it, they're going to be really attracted to it. I think there's just been too much upfront friction so far, and then just Bitcoin and crypto like kind of screwed it all up.
I think we also, just thinking about the AI bit and back to the conversation about networking, um, if all we are is transactional, AI is going to have us beat within the next year, like you were
Oh
telling
yeah,
me before we clicked record.
eat your lunch.
So it's all going to be about the relationships. It's going to
Huh?
be the soft skills and just the shared values and the history that you have with people
Yep.
that are gonna sustain you with opportunity going forward. Because in a year's time, Chat GPT or whatever the next thing is will probably have been able to give me the augmented bonding curves
Yeah.
concept without me needing to speak to this guy. That's like the transactional stuff will be more and more automated. And if you're not having relationships to collaborate, you're just going to be left out in the cold, I guess.
I no, I think you're 100% right. What we were talking about was the idea that the first wave of AI disruption isn't AI taking everyone's jobs. It's those who learn to leverage AI taking 10 jobs. That's the first wave. And that's already starting to happen. We're seeing, anybody who's in like copywriting, search engine optimization, social media marketing, you can do the work of 10 people now. We do stuff and I help, get tweets ready for us. And I still tweak them and stuff and put a little, of my own, intellectual ideas and stuff and mind into it. But at the same time, I can have 25 tweets in seconds to work from and just
But
go down
but
a list and grab one. And I've got my topic, boom, boom, boom. Right? It's crazy.
but but Dom, I already do the work of 10 people. So how many am I going to be able to do the work of in 6 months or a year?
Oh, you
That's
wild stallion, 100. It's a 10x. It's a 10x multiplier, Gav. It's like the thing that drops down in the video
okay.
game. Boom, boom, 10x. No, I
Phew.
know. It's just it's a different thing, but you're right. It's going to be, I think, a long time, not as long as people think. And some people will say it'll never happen, and I'll say flat out, you're wrong. AI will get into deep relationships with human beings. There's no question. It's already doing that in certain ways. They've had iPads that are sitting at home on these sort of robotic stands with just a stupid smiley face on them, and older people are feeling less lonely. This is like ancient tech. When you're
Mm.
talking about an AI that can, really, really speak to you in a deep and complex manner and has a memory, so it's remembering everything you're telling it and it's adapting to you and it's got all this neuropsychology programming and data in it and it can read you and like because we already do that. We don't realize like AI has been being used for sentiment analysis on Google and Facebook and all forever. Like that's how they get most of their information and figure out like what to put in front of you. They know more about you than you do. Like they're already getting to your subconscious and the AI models are what do it. They read your searches and they go, "Oh, dude's a little mad right now. I mean, he might be looking for beach balls, but he's pissed." So maybe I should also show him a punching bag. Like I don't know. That's a really shitty example, but my point stands. Like AI is going to get into complex relationships with us. There are going to be love relationships. Love is far more of an algorithm than people want to believe. And we're not going to get too deep in a philosophical debate here, but the reality is it will do that. But just because it'll do that, that's sort of like saying, well, if AI gets in the relationships, I'm useless. Well, no, that's like saying if I have one friend, I don't need another. It doesn't mean relationships with humans will be replaced. It's just that there'll be another type of relationship available to you, right? Like it's so the relationships will stand. Like I genuinely believe you're 100% here. The relationships are going to stand the test of time.
I saw a movie just only a few weeks ago with a AI type robot who gets jealous of the relationship in the house that he's put into and ends up killing the husband and trying to uh, have a relationship with the wife until she discovers the body of her husband in the back garden and this kind of stuff. Pretty.
There we go. The AI
or,
did
or,
it. The
like
AI did it, man. That's going to be the
yeah.
new excuse.
And there are social media channels today that the influencer, right? The influencer of the channel with tens of thousands of views and tens of thousands of dollars revenue a month, the influencer itself is a AI character. It's not even a real character.
Mhm.
They are JPEGs that move and like, I don't know, they do some audio stuff or whatever it is, and they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month.
Yep.
It's not even a real person. It's
I
like,
know.
and this is just the beginning of this AI wave.
Oh, just to begin. So I
So
scratched the surface.
our avatars are going to have relationships with avatars of other AI. It's just
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. All right. How do we bring it home? What do we send people off with?
Well, I
Relationships with
think, I,
relationships.
yeah, I think if we think about the alpha, right? So what is the alpha takeaway in this? I think it is get yourself into more events than you think you might as well attend. If you think, well, they're probably going to be a waste of time, make space for some of them,
Yeah.
and try and go back a few times and see how it feels, the vibe of the relationship, give it an opportunity and To me, that's the alpha is get involved, start building relationships, touch points with people, and it will do you well over the coming year and 2 and 10 and 50.
I agree. It'll stand the test of time. Get there, go to where people are. Telegram, Reddit, wherever. I don't know. There's tons of opportunities out there. I mean, quick Google search and you'll find groups all over the place. So you don't have to be a big extrovert. You can still make great relationships, and it's probably even easier for introverts than it's ever been. So no excuses, guys. Get out there, make some relationships.